Hi and welcome back. Okay, let's go through a few more examples where we're trying to solve quadratic equations. So say I asked you to solve this. Well, this one you could factorize quite easily because let's write out all the factors of negative 10. So to get negative 10, you could either do 1 times 10, we'll do the signs in a second, or 2 times 5. They're the only two factors of 10. And we want to choose the factors that would add together to give me 3x. Okay, so they have to add together to give you that middle value. Let's just delete all this highlighting so it's nice and neat to see. So the only ones that would do that would be those two, and we have to think of the signs. Okay, so they need to add together to give me negative 3. So it would be negative 2 plus 5. And if you multiply those two together, you do get your negative 10. So we know it's those two factors. So then we could just write out our brackets and we would have, let's write out my two brackets. So x squared, so you have x and x in both brackets, and then our two factors. So negative 2 and positive 5. And that equals to 0. And that must mean that either the first factor equals to 0 or the second factor equals to 0. And if you rearrange this, you get x equals to 2 or x equals to negative 5. And they are your two solutions for this one. Okay, let's do the next one. So suppose I give you 2x squared minus 5x plus 1. Okay, so we're going to get thirds in this. So let's try use the quadratic formula. So remember, any quadratic equation can be written in this form. Ax squared plus bx plus c. So my value of a is whatever's in front of the x squared term. So in this case, a is 2. My value of b is whatever's in front of x. So in this case, it is negative 5. And my value of c is whatever the constant is. So in this case, it is 1. So I like to write out what a, b, and c are. Then you write out the formula, which is neg b plus or minus square root of b squared, take 4ac all over 2a. And then you just plug in the values. Just be careful of your negatives, okay? So just be extra careful. So we've got negative b, and b is negative 5, so it's negative 5. And whenever you get a double negative, it becomes positive, and then it's plus or minus square root of b squared. So because it's negative 5, I like to put it in brackets. Take away 4ac all over 2a. Okay, then what you do is you actually work out what's on this square root first. Okay, so let's do that. So we've still got the positive 5 outside the square root, so we could just write that as 5 plus or minus square root of negative 5 squared is 25. And 4 times 2 times 1 is 8. So it's 25 take 8 all over 2 times 1, which is 2. And we could simplify that further. 25 take 8 is 17. So it is 5 plus or minus square root of 17 all over 2a. I've actually made an error. Can anyone see the error? Hopefully you can, because I've labeled this very clearly. A is not 1, it is 2. So over here, that should be 2, which means 2 times 2 is 4. So down here, we should have 4. So that's why if you label your work and you show all your working out, if you made that error, you may spot it when you're doing it, or you could get follow-through marks. But yeah, it's very important to see, just so I showed you over there, to go systematically and label your work. So my answers are, the correct answers are, x equals either 5 take root 17 on 4, or 5 plus root 17 on 4. Nice, well done. Okay, let's go a bit harder. So next one, 4x to the power of 2, so 4x squared plus 4x minus 3. Okay, let's see if I can factorize this. So what you need to do first, because it's a non-mono trinomial, you need to multiply these two, which is negative 12. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Write out all the factors of 12. So you have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And I need to multiply to give me negative 12. So that one of them has to be negative. And I need to add together to give me that middle value, positive 4. So we know it's going to be these two. And it would be negative 2 plus 6. Because negative 2 plus 6 gives me positive 4. And negative 2 multiplied by positive 6 gives me that negative 12. So what you do is you replace that 4x with these two factors and make sure you put an x after each one. So we're going to write this out. So we haven't done anything to this 4x, so it still remains. So we still have 4x squared here. Then we write out my two factors, which are negative 2x and positive 6x. And we haven't done anything to this negative 3, so that also remains there. So all we've done is replace that middle value, that positive 4, with those two factors. Now we could just factorize these two, and we could remove 2x as a factor, and you're left with 2x minus 1. And then we could factorize these two, and you could actually take out positive 3 from there, and you're left with 2x minus 1. And then hopefully you can see that 2x, take 1, is a factor of both of these, and you're left with 2x plus 3. And if that equals to 0, that means that either 2x minus 1 equals to 0 or 2x plus 3 equals to 0. And if you rearrange that, 2x equals to 1, x equals to 1 on 2, or 2x equals negative 3, x equals negative 3 on 2. Hopefully you understand this rearranging part. I've done that quite fast. If you find that a bit tricky, make sure you watch my videos on rearranging and solving algebra. But basically, anytime you move something across the equal sign, it becomes the opposite. Beautiful. Hopefully that all makes sense and you're feeling good. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.